trying to do this without showing you my butt. Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. That was Nana BOOZHOO, and welcome to the live stream of BOOZHOO, Nana BOOZHOO. I got a new microphone today, and so I'm hoping, I would really want to apologize. I didn't realize how bad the sound was last time. I'm singing songs and the microphone or the camera or whatever it was would just max out. And so you would either hear the guitar or my voice. And guitar is really hard to pick up on microphones. You lose all the bass tones, and so it sounds very tinny sometimes. But anyway, so yeah, welcome back to the show. This is our second live stream, and I didn't really intend on doing this many live streams in a row, but I wanted to advertise the first one, and the only way I could do that was to pay for 4 days worth. And so now there's a there's an ad out there that says, watch live BOOZHOO Nana BOOZHOO tonight and at 10 o'clock. And I don't know how to take it down. So I apologize to anybody who tuned in last night going, hey, I thought you were going to do a live stream. I paid for an ad that, so now I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But anyway, I'm here now. And so I hope the guitar and my voice sounds okay. If you can't hear me, please let me know, and I'll move closer to the microphone or something. All right, so what can I say about anything? So yeah, the Hulk isn't really a superhero. I'm not sure. Maybe that's self-evident. I was thinking about Aquaman. Is Aquaman a superhero? And again, if you just go by the movies, Aquaman can't really be a superhero. He's, you know, his real, you know, being Aquaman is really who he is. He pretends, just like Superman, he pretends to be a surface dweller. And I'm not even sure if now in the DC universe, if he even had, Arthur Curry has a job and that stuff, or if he's just a guy who lives in Atlantis. I think he's the king of Atlantis or something. I never saw the movie. And so, you know, you got to wonder about Aquaman too. You know, he's kind of biracial. And, you know, even in the, well, not the Avengers, what they call it, the Justice League, you know, he's sort of a grudging participant in all that. His motivations are to save Atlantis, I think. You know, so he's kind of a nationalist. He's kind of a racist in that movie. And you think about his family, you know, he's got the two different cultures, the surface dwelling side, and then of course the Atlantis side. And, you know, he goes home to Atlantis one weekend, and his auntie's like, how come you never bring your girlfriends around? Are you ashamed of us? It's like, no, Auntie. But, you know, they drowned when I bring them here. All right. I'm trying to work out some bits, some comedy bits. All right. Here's the, what should I play for you guys? But I never meant one word, I never meant one word, I never meant one word. I said, hello, Mary, it's nice to see you again. And if the guitar's sweet enough, you can sing anything, and it sounds like you're sad, but you could say anything. Like, I gotta remember to buy coffee. I drank the Keurig stuff, but the cheap Walmart brand. I think they call it Tasty or something stupid. So yeah, superheroes. I was always really impressed with superheroes growing up. And then, of course, because I was such a superhero nut and I was so into music, my earliest interests were Elvis Presley and Spider-Man. And then I turned probably 12 and I discovered, hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to BOOZHOO Not a BOOZHOO. Whoops. I'm Paul Stanley, and there we go. Now I'm in, look at me now. I'm totally focused. Well, you wanted the best, so you got the best. The hottest podcast in the land, BOOZHOO Not a BOOZHOO. So please welcome Michael Lyons. Take it away, Michael. Thank you, Paul. So tell me, Paul, where do you get the inspiration for your music? Oh, I can't do this because my mouth moves. Anyway, so I discovered Kiss at that perfect age of where blending superhero and music were perfect. And so this was also a huge inspiration for drawing. To this day, I can draw platform boots way easier than I can draw just regular boots. So there's Paul Stanley, and there's the Paul Stanley thing back there. So Kiss is doing their Gabikona, end of the road, Gabikona tour, and it's their final farewell tour, they said. And they're saying, you know, people ask Paul Stanley, like, you know, why are you retiring? You know, which is a stupid question to ask a 70-year-old man. Why are you retiring? You know, Garbage Man retires, no one goes, why now? But if you're a rock star, they go, why are you retiring? And Paul Stanley's like, well, we wanted to go out when we were on top, which is what they said 20 years ago. We want to quit when people are saying, we don't want you to quit. Not when, oh, why are you still playing? And so and now it's pretty clear there's a lot of videos out there that show Paul Stanley lip syncing, whatever it is. It's just kind of sad. It's gone on so long that it makes you wonder, why do they, you know, what do they have on Paul and Gene that they won't ever allow them to quit, to go enjoy their money, to retire? I mean, I was in a band for 5 years and I was like, wow, it was a nice long career. And what's the point of being a multimillionaire if you have to stay in Holiday Inns in Idaho, you know, or wherever. Having said that, you show us everything you've got. One of my first guitar songs I learned, well, this is the other thing about Kiss. People are like, why do you love Kiss so much? For Kiss fans, first and foremost, nobody believes this for some reason because you've all been programmed to hate Kiss, but it's the music. The songs are amazing. You know, if you follow an artist's career over 40 years, and those songs from the 70s, you know, still hold up. You know, you might have heard Rock and Roll All Night too many times, and it's just an anthem. But, you know, the songs are great. Cold Gin, Black Diamond, everything is great. I love it all. But also, it's for Kiss fans, that was your music for every period. You know, Kiss fans don't just, oh, I like these certain albums. You followed the band. So like somebody can say, you know, Asylum, the album Asylum, and I know, oh, the Crazy Nights tour. That was whatever year that was that I moved to Moorhead and stayed on my brother's couch. Because I remember that being a big song and playing it in my car a lot. And if you said The Elder, I would say, oh yeah, that was when I was like 15 or I think 16, I think. And I remember seeing them on Solid Gold. So actually it was 1980. You know, do you remember where you were in life depending on what album or tour they were on? And then they just never go away, you know. So people ask, why do you love Kiss? Love the music, you know. If you're into that kind of, you know, visual and all that stuff is cool too. But also, they've been a huge inspiration for me creatively because as a kid, it motivated me to draw. Just every day I was drawing, you know, the Kiss guys. So I learned how to draw the human form, all made up in makeup and boots or whatever. But then it also inspired me to learn to play the guitar. And drawing and playing guitar have been really rich, rewarding things in my life. All right. Why are you mad at me? Did you have another dream where I cheated on you? I said, why are you mad at me? Did you have another dream that I cheated on you? Well, guess what? I dreamed some clowns were chasing me. I don't hate clowns. That would be crazy. All right. BOOZHOO Randy. Randy, the great and powerful Randy. Randy and I went on some sweats a couple of summers ago. He's a good guy. I really enjoyed hanging out with him. I enjoyed hanging out with you, Randy. Why am I talking like I'm not right here? Yeah, it looks like we're gonna hit the road this winter. We're gonna start doing some live dates. I think the spirits want me to. Some weird coincidences have happened, and the synchronicities are lining up. I have a friend who's, I'm not even sure what his job is, but he's some sort of music manager or something. And out of the blue, he contacted me. He was like, hey, what have you been up to? And I'm like, oh, I was totally going to call you. You know, how do you book gigs and stuff like that? So I'm not sure what will happen, but he might be coming to help me out. And so maybe these live streams are a good idea on how to take the show on the road, how to work out some material. It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. I don't have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, well then again, who knows, or a man who makes potions in a traveling show. I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my podcast. This one's for you. You can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, hope you don't mind that I put down the words. How wonderful life is while you're in the world. I like to sing that song to my cat. I'll be sitting around and he'll be sitting on the floor listening. But it's not really true. I have a cat, and it's my second cat. I had a cat who passed away years ago, Princess. And Princess and I were tight. It was my first pet, and I loved Princess. She was a female cat, completely, independent, except for lived on my lap and slept on my bed. But otherwise, she would be brushed, and she enjoyed being fed, but she was really self-sufficient. She passed away, and hey, Fred, glitch. She passed away, and I was devastated. I was shocked. I had experienced close loved ones die in all different kinds of ways. I knew about death by this time, except I never knew about death of a kitty. It's way worse. And so Princess passed away, and 3 years went by, and I started getting mice. I went, well, you know what? Went on a big, spiritual insight. Went on a vision quest, and it occurred to me, you don't really honor your gifts by never moving on, by only living with pain. So you love somebody who died, and if you spend the rest of your life in pain, that doesn't honor the memory of that loved one. So I'm going to get another cat, but this time I'm going to get just the opposite. Princess was a female white cat. I went and got a male black cat. Princess was declawed before I got her, and Bagheera has total claws and fangs. So I get this black cat, and in about a month he doubles in size, where I adopted a cute, not a kitten, but a little cat. And a month later, now I've got a cat, and he's aggressive. He's never aggressive, angry. He's just fast, clumsy. Once in a while has bursts, energetic bursts. He's just a little boy, loves to play. He totally appreciates everything. Follows me around. His favorite thing is just to be cuddled. And so, in a lot of ways, he's a good cat. But he's remember in the, what was that movie? Ordinary People? There were the two brothers, and the one dies, and then the other brother can't live up to his dead brother because, the grief surrounding. And that's what it's like for Bagheera. I loved Princess so much that, I compare, and Bagheera do something I don't like. I'm like, you know what? Princess never did that. He snapped. He didn't really bite, but he kind of nipped at me one day. I got mad. I went 7 years I had Princess. Not once did she ever pull that crap. So I think it's like having a son or something. It's a very different relationship than having a female cat. So you parents, I understand exactly, what you're going through. All right. So wrote down some things I wanted to cover tonight. One was superheroes and whether or not the Hulk was one. There's some deep thought about this, philosophy. I was always a really philosophical kid, Remember early on, like being a 5th grader and talking to one of my buddies, and I was like, how do you know that the color I'm seeing is the same color you're seeing? Because like if I say, oh, I see red, this is red, but you're actually seeing the color blue. And any way that you would describe red, the person would agree, oh, red like an apple, right? But in his brain, he's seeing what you would think is blue. And then it occurred to me when I was young, actually, really young, I thought this was pretty deep, how you would describe it to a blind person. Describing it to a person who's colorblind is easy because it's just shades. You would say, well, white and black, yellow is probably closer to white, blue is closer to black, red is kind of in the middle. But if you're blind, you would have to say, okay, black is the ground or rocks or mud, thick, cool, heavy. White is the air or the feeling of the sun, which is also a weird thing. I was watching a video and they're like, remember the sun used to be yellow? Even crayons were called, sunburst yellow. And you look at the sun now and that's white. Why do they call the sun yellow? It's white. Hey, Mike, have you yet recorded any of your podcasts to DVD? I actually did when I did my first 2 hours worth, the first year of the podcast, I did one long collection, and then I even bought the software, and it was on a different computer, to download it all onto a DVD, to burn a DVD and stuff. But it's kind of like burning music CDs now. You can do it and it looks just like what we remember or what a professional might have, but you'd hate to charge anybody anything. I don't know if there's any way to publish something that you give away for free on Facebook. So I think podcasts, all TV in a way is going to go the way of the music industry, where it's going to go back to being like it's home productions and stuff. At least that's what I'm trying to do. What was I talking about? Oh, color. So then if you're blind, you would say, all right, white is that end of the spectrum, black is the mud end. And then yellow, you would say, is the next thing, and it starts to cool off from white. Red, yellow becomes orange, and then red is, what does red feel like? I don't know. But then blue, it keeps cooling off. You do the whole color spectrum through temperature. And that would give you a sense of whatever that is. Anyway, I was thinking that's pretty deep for a 5th grader. All right, here's a good one. I was thinking about Prince the other day. And did you ever see that video where he was on PBS? And they go, hey, Prince, who are you going to vote for? He goes, I got no dog in that race. Prince was so cool. Because when I found out there were 7 presidents before Washington, I realized it. And, it sounded crazy. And then you think about it, go, wait a minute. Okay, there was the spirit of 76, independence. And then George Washington became president in like 1980 or 1783 or something like that. There was like 7-8 years of missing history, but you go, wait a minute, what happened between the time where everyone celebrated, hey, we're a new country, and then here's the father of our country, George Washington. History guys keeping track, write this down. Our first president, we finally got it together 7 years later, you know. But then, because of Google, everything gets known. They, you know, sure enough, there were 7 presidents. I think one was John Hancock, and there was like one per year until Washington. And you're like, I mean, I guess it would be silly to kind of go, hey, you see that guy in the $1 bill? He was our favorite guy and the 8th president. I don't know. But, you know, as Native people, you know, that was the first thing we learned was, oh, by the way, don't trust the history books. You know, they're going to tell you Columbus discovered America. And just, you know, obviously they kind of wrote that from a European perspective. They don't really think of, you know, people here as being here. We know that we were here. You know, Columbus. I like how people are still mad about Columbus. You'll see like a march for something, and then somebody will get on there who's, I don't know, in their early 60s. Tears in their eyes, you know. I am an Anishinaabe, I am not a Native American. Columbus never discovered us. I'm like, what? You're still mad about Columbus? How many years has it been? You weren't there. I hate to break it to you. You know? I mean, if you're a Dakota person and you're still mad at white people for displacing you, you should actually be mad at the Ojibwe for displacing you too. I mean, don't be racist about it. Dakota got dogged by the Ojibwe. How many of your audience are youth or children? Do you know? You know, I'm not really sure. I actually get the impression that most people who watch are over 40. But the sort of the vibe of this thing. I mean, actually, I have a lot of people calling in and saying, "Hey, I'm having my grandchild watch." I like that the vibe is very Ernie and Bert. I want to always make it, you know, appropriate for children, but appropriate in the way, not phony appropriate like Mr. Rogers. But I want it to be entertaining to somebody who's 3. And a 3-year-old may not get a lot of the references, but appreciate Nana BOOZHOO. And I don't know. Let's ask Nana BOOZHOO what he thinks. Oh, Frederick, what's up, my brother? Yeah, you know, I was thinking the other day. I was thinking I should get in a shot. Hey, I'm just gonna take over for a minute. Yeah, you go ahead. This might work. Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "Oh, I'm having my grandchildren watch your show, and oh, you know, that just pleases. It warms my heart." But at the same time, you know, I'm not constrained by that. I just want to make an entertaining, funny show. All right. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna Majan. Majada, let's go. That was the Ojibwe word. All right, I'll talk to you again. I will see you again, brother. Oh, I'm not feeling so good. So yeah. Let's see, what else did I want to cover? Have you guys been watching the news, following the politics? I have kind of a crush, not on her politics at all, but just on her looks, of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez. And I don't know. She's just kind of my type. And who else? There's that chick from Minnesota, Omar. She's pretty cute. I'm at that age now where you can look at politicians and go, yeah, I'd date her. I mean, I guess I was at that age when I was 30, but it's not usually something you think of, you know. Oh, so Prince. Prince was a conspiracy theorist, but he was 100% accurate. He educated the world that George Washington was not, in fact, the first president. And there's something very mysterious about George Washington. Why is he on the $1 bill? Why is the one kind of weird story about him the fact that he never lied? Lying, it was a big thing, cardinal sin. And the cherry tree story was a story to tell all the kids that the one thing you can trust is George Washington, because he would never lie, not even to his father. They probably told that story when, I don't know, a father would just lose his stuff and beat you for cutting down a cherry tree. What is a cherry tree? Cherries grow on trees? I guess so. Yeah, of course they do. But, and what, you know, was it wrong to cut down the cherry tree? Was that, you know, like his dad's prized, this is my cherry tree. I planted it when I was a kid, you know, so we could eat on it. When I knew, George, when I was your age, I had a dream. I'm going to plant a cherry in the ground and it'll grow one day and be a cherry tree. And you know, we'll eat from the fruit of this tree, I said to myself. And year after year, winter after winter, I watched that tree grow. And then I married and had a son of my own. And he grew up to be about 5 or 6 or whatever that story was supposed to take place. And because I'm a bad dad, my kid got a hold of an axe and chopped down a cherry tree, my prized cherry tree. So now I'm disowning you. You are no son of me. I have no son. And that is what motivated George Washington to work real hard and eventually become the president of the United States. And then they built the Washington Monument. All right, how long have I been doing this? 39 minutes. We're going to cut this off at exactly an hour. So 39 minutes and counting. So that's George Washington. And then there's a real cryptic statue of George Washington somewhere where he's dressed in a toga. And he's standing, or he's sitting there like a king or something, pointing up. He's wearing a toga. And oh, that's George Washington. The guy who wore a wig. And, you know, pantaloons or whatever. Is that what they're called? Pantaloons? Knickers? I don't know. I don't like history. I don't trust it. So here's a Prince tune. How's that go? When I was a kid, it was not cool to like Prince at all. People would question your own sexuality if you said, oh, I love Prince. If you're a guy, you couldn't say that about Michael Jackson. Then Purple Rain came out, and all the metalheads were like, holy man, did you know that guy could play guitar like that? And every song on that album was really good. So Prince became cool in like 1983 or 4 in the port. if you will, a picture of you and I engaged in a kiss. The sweat of your body covers me. Can my darling, can you picture this? You will, a courtyard, an ocean of violets and bloom. Animals strike curious poses. I feel the heat between me and you. Leave me standing alone in a world that's so cold. Maybe I'm just too demanding. Maybe I'm just like my father, too bold. Maybe you're just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Why do we scream at each other? This is what it sounds like when doves cry. Prince. Remember when you were a kid and there was that story about Phil Collins when he was writing In the Air Tonight? And the story was there was a guy who was going to jump off a bridge, or jumped off a bridge and was drowning. And this guy could have saved his life, but he didn't. He just watched him die. And then that night, Elton John, or what's his name? Phil Collins comes and writes that song and then invites the guy, dedicates the song to him at the show that night and sings that song. And then the cops, arrested the guy for not helping the guy because he drowned. Then you realize what a load of crap that story is. Because if you were watching a guy drown, you too were watching a guy drowned. And then you too would have been guilty of that same sort of crime. And what nonsense. Was this back when he was with Genesis? And so it was a fan of the band that he watch a guy die? It's nonsense. But how do those stories start? I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord. I hope the sound's all right. I guess we'll find out, or I'll find out later. Fred, tell me if it's just like, if it's horrible, let me know. If it's just fine, you don't have to write anything. If you're even still here. So, yeah. When I was a kid, I really wanted to be a rock star. And that was my safety plan. I thought if my first plan didn't work out, I could always fall. You have to have like that sensible plan. I could fall back on my, my second choice job, but to be rock star. Because my first choice was to be a cartoonist. I really loved drawing. And there's no link to it, but one of the things this show does well, I don't know if it does it well. Yeah, it totally does well. I came up with this show. The show was appropriate for me to do because I already had some children's books in Ojibwe for sale on Amazon. So when I started the BOOZHOO Not a BOOZHOO podcast, it became a good way to advertise the books, and I sold some books through it. All right. So, oh, don't mind Nana BOOZHOO there. Hello, everyone. My name is Anamosh, and I kind of need to make something clear here. The other day, I was clowning around as you do, and I thought I would be ironic. And I was saying some stuff I did not believe for comedic effect. And I just want to say I'm sorry to if I misrepresented myself, if you took me seriously. I was trying to say the opposite of what I'm actually meant. You don't know what I'm talking about. Michael, do you mind? Can you tell that story? Yeah, sure. So the other day I was doing a live stream, and I was introducing some of the characters, and this is Anamosh. Anamosh is a Ojibwe for dog, and he's got a Southern accent. And the thing about Southern accents is that it comes with some assumptions about it. And to me, because I'm not a racist against Southern people, I think of, well, I guess this is sort of a stereotype. Southern accents are tough. There's a lot of politics in the Southern accent. People assume you're racist if you have a Southern accent, and it's not true, of course. But I always thought of a Southern accent. To me, a Southern accent represents earnestness, gentlemanly, kind of an old world thing. But mostly, it's just an easy accent for me to do. I'm probably butchering it. Real people from the South probably don't think it sounds like their accent. But so we were talking about I was doing a bit where I was having Anamosh. Do you want to explain it? No, you're doing fine. You do it. What Anamosh to sound like the most liberal, progressive person, and I know there are progressive people in the South, but you don't really think of somebody going, well, let me tell you something. I come from a place where a man's not judged by the color of his skin. Because that sounds like a man who might say just the opposite. And I kept going. I was like, I come from a place where a man can choose his own gender. Thank you very much. You don't. A lot of people who think of Southern accents, and I guess part of me thinks this, to represent like a racist person. That was the joke. But then he went on to like endorse abortion, and he was like, I come from a place where a woman can choose if and when to terminate her pregnancy. No apologies, no ifs, ands, or buts. Thank you very much. And one of the viewers was like, you know what, I'm out. Believe what you want, but that's not cool to me. They're aborting babies at, like 10 minutes before they're born. And, and I wrote back and I was like, oh, no, that's totally not what I meant by that. I was trying to, irony, I'm saying the opposite of what you mean. It wasn't sarcasm. I've been learning that sarcasm is not the greatest way to be humorous. All right, so Anamosh, why don't you talk just a little bit, and I'm going to go over here and get a drink of water. All right, you do that, Michael. Hello, everyone. So yeah, there are a lot of stereotypes, not about the South, but about the Southern accent. There's a lot of people make assumptions about you based on how you talk. And so, you got to be careful. Be mindful, as they say, of how you speak. People might get the wrong idea. And at the same time, they're telling the kids now to be careful about what you hear,
don't bully, but also, when I was a kid, a long time ago, one of the first things they taught us in school was sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And then I learned nobody likes a tattletale. Those are the lessons I learned from Mrs. Haley in the LaPorte kindergarten. Thank you, Mrs. Haley. I mean, I learned a lot of stuff too, like the months of the year and how to finger paint. But I was watching, well, anyway. So yeah, kids, quit being so sensitive. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but if somebody misgenders you, you got to relax. All right? That's a made-up thing. I'm misgendered. I think he kind of slid out of the southern accent in a second there. But yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine. He goes, "Yeah, I remember that when you were a kid, and somebody called you a name. That was not any grounds for tattling to the teacher. When I was a kid, the adults called you names. Don't be a pussy. Get out there and run. Your coaches were the worst bullies. The best bullies, But yeah, and then the teacher would be like, it doesn't matter what they said. In fact, you're complaining about it shows a lack of character. It's a word. I don't care if it's the N word or the C word. I don't know. It's after 10. I'm just going to say it. The C word. Cuckoo head. Someone calls you a cuckoo head. You're just going to blow it off. Can't hurt you. And then nobody likes a tattletale. Hey, he called me a cuckoo head. Let's all get together and make him lose his job. That's what this world's coming to. I was offended by something you said. I was offended because I'm a good person. When you misgendered somebody, I felt offense. People love to be offended. When I was a kid, being offended was kind of like a sissy thing. And I was a gentle, artistic soul, You didn't get offended by stuff. So offended. All right. So, how are we doing? All right, 9 minutes to go. BOOZHOO, Nana BOOZHOO. We're working up a live act. It'll be a combination of songs and comedy and stories. Let's see. The other day I was driving around and I saw one of those bumper stickers. If you can read this, thank a teacher. And then today in the news, there was a teacher in Wisconsin or somewhere, whatever. They're going to sue the Department of Education. Not for the scam of the student loan organization to begin with. Hi, we're going to give you this weird classical education based on something from ancient Rome, only stripped of all value, and give you a licensure to teach a specific subject to high schoolers out of this specific book. But anyway, no, they're not suing because they went to college and they finally woke up to going, school is not what I thought it was. They're suing because of the broken student loan forgiveness programs. There's a program there that if you teach in a low-income area for 5 years or 10 years or something, they'll forgive your loans, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases. Just forgive it for some reason because you chose a field that has so much advertising and propaganda. And then even in the news article, it was like, sure, it's a noble profession. I'm like, is it really noble? I mean, in a way, it's noble. I mean, like being a policeman is noble, or a soldier, fireman. Noble professions are, you know, where you sacrifice for a betterment of everyone. Noble. Being a scientist who comes up with cures for diseases, that's a noble profession. Was being a gym teacher in the 8th grade a noble profession? And what other profession needs so much coddling? Oh, you know, you're like the bumper sticker. If you can read this, thank a teacher. It's like, well, how about if I thank a guy who made a bumper? Because you wouldn't have a place to stick that self-righteous, self-congratulatory notion if somebody hadn't made a car. You can read this, thank Ford. What's his name? Donald Ford? Henry Ford? Whoever invented the car? You know, you can read this. And thank a teacher. That's also, they take credit for stuff they didn't do. Teachers don't teach us how to read. We teach ourselves how to read. They teach us not to question what we read. You spend the second half of your life learning how to think past all the lies your teachers tell you. This goes for math teachers too. You're not getting off the hook. Some people are like, yeah, okay, I get it. Maybe some things are dumb, like home ec, which now is the only class that matters. Remember when I was a kid, you know, the guys took shop and then the girls took home ec, and then the 80s came and then they blended it. So now you got girls welding and guys baking. But, you know, at least it was real world skills that you could use. But math, you know, we spend an hour a day for 12 years learning stuff like how to determine the surface area of a cone. And whenever you ask a math teacher, why do I need to know this? They'll say, well, if you don't know how to determine the square root of a room, how are you ever going to buy carpeting? That's always like the one reason they can justify learning math. Or this notion that they're going to teach math to everyone, especially girls, because they need to be encouraged to enter the sciences, because you never know who's going to be the next whatever amazing scientist who needs a lot of math. Not chemistry, which are the only scientists who matter. Or I guess all engineering. Chemistry and engineering matter. But all this nonsense about atoms and particles and gravity and astrophysics, everything they can't prove, all these theories, is just bad literature, bad fiction. So teachers, yeah, thank a teacher. And they're always whining, you know, about how much they make. Nobody else complains about how much they make like a teacher. You know, you want to come into this for the pay. And then, you know, every year, all advertising is directed towards teachers. Back to school sale, teachers, blah, blah, blah. You know, there's a million social service agencies that just to donate school supplies because kids need rulers and personal pencil sharpeners and notebooks, and they can't afford it. And basically, it's just government subsidized backpacks. There you go. If there's a school shooting, we're going to ban these for like a week and make you walk around in a clear one just in case you're carrying a gun. So yeah, thank a teacher. No, I'm not going to thank a teacher. So yeah, they're paid in Bemidji anyway. I know this is the case other places. Teachers are among the highest paid people in this town. the highest, the people make a lot of money in Bemidji are, doctors and lawyers, administrators for the high schools, I suppose, like the principal or whatever. He probably makes a lot. Therapist, that's type of doctor, I guess. And then teachers. And then everybody else, most of us in town are underneath that. The people working in the service industry, working for Walmart, working for Menards, whatever, are paid much less than a teacher does. And a teacher only works part-time. They will whine and complain about, oh, no, we don't, our job's not done at 3:15. Like, yeah, it is. I worked in your job for 3 years. Your job is as hard as you make it yourself. If you want to be a busybody and have a bunch of tests to grade every night, that's because you assigned a bunch of tests every day. You can do a test twice a semester if you want. Call one a midterm, one a final. You can have as little or as many tests as you want. That's totally up to the teacher. You can't choose what the kids read. You still have to teach them Treasure Island or something boring. Everything you will teach if you're an English teacher is a boring waste of time for these kids. The Great Gatsby, I mean, it's a scam. Not gonna thank a teacher. I'm not gonna thank him. I knew how to read before I went to kindergarten. I mean, you practice reading in school, but your mother teaches you how to read. The children's books, do I even have it here? Where the wild things are, Hop on Pop, Dr. Seuss, comic books. Your parents read to you when you're a little kid. So by the time you get to kindergarten, you should already know your ABCs because you sing it. And you should have some favorite books. If you still can't read by the time you start kindergarten, you have a lazy mom. So yeah, teachers don't teach us to read. If anything, that they teach us to hate reading. By reading, this is called Great Expectations. And with a name like that, you might have a great expectation that this book is going to be interesting. You would be wrong. All right, well, that's been about an hour. So I'm going to close out today with a little blues, or should I play my harmonica? Here we go. I'll say good night. To everyone who's watching live today, I appreciate you being here. This is a lot easier than going down to a coffee house. Oops, plays the same thing. The song is for people who want to go and watch live music but don't want to put on their shoes. Welcome to BOOZHOO, Nana BOOZHOO, the podcast about Ojibwe language and culture. I'm happy to be here with you today to speak Ojibwe, learn about the language and culture. And you have been watching BOOZHOO, Nana BOOZHOO, podcast about Ojibwe language and culture. I am Michael Lyons, and I will see you again. Giga Wabamin, Minowa, Hoa.